I know. Look at this. Look at this fucking shit.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. Brand new swag in the
new merch, bro. New merch in the merch store, bro.
Snuck that one on the other side.
Fuck out of here.
Hey, how long did Brobriety last?
Like a year, maybe.
How many episodes? I mean,
oh, like 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not long. I keep being like, I'm gonna bring it back, and I'm like, do I really want to do that? Because for a while, my entire life was like, oh, fucking record a podcast interview and then produce like Kate's podcast and then produce my podcast and then upload the podcast and then do another interview. I'm like, now I just want to play Xbox.
Yeah, dude. I would do 100 podcasts if I didn't have to produce any of them.
Yeah.
Like just pop in, record for an hour, and then just be like, goodbye. It's off in the ether. That'd be amazing.
I wish there was more of a market for like 50-year-old Twitch streamers, because I think I'd do good at that. But no one who watches Twitch wants to hear from a 50-year-old.
They probably do. There's like people, there's old people who watch Twitch.
No.
Maybe go after those fucking troubled youths without a dad.
No,
be like dad Twitch and be like, I love you, son.
I love you,
and then just
son.
give them reaffirmations the entire time. And then their dad, who totally ignores them and gets the video games to raise them, they'll love you.
It's just a 4-hour stream of me flipping burgers on a grill while giving out fatherly advice, pushing a mower around.
Yeah, look how popular that guy on Facebook or on YouTube got when he was just like did dad tube. And he was like, I'm just going to offer fatherly advice. And then people would ask him questions. No, that Jordan guy, Peterson? He was just like, I'm going to try and make the... This is funny because Jordan Peterson was like, I'm going to try get rid of some of these incels. And the whole world was like, no, we like dunking on the incels. Leave them alone.
Make your bed. And also, I refuse to acknowledge trans people by their preferred pronouns, but make your bed.
He's like, it shouldn't be hate speech. And then people are like, we hate incels.
I'm Jordan Peterson.
How's this for an impression of Jordan Peterson? If these girls would just have sex with these incels, they wouldn't be incels.
Did you see the fucking video he did where it's like, I don't know what the guy's fucking doing lately, but he posted an interview and he was like, who's canceling who? And it was just like this like 10-minute rant about him. I think we talked about on the podcast the thing about like when he said that, like,
I don't think we talked about the Elliot Page thing.
No, was that the thing that broke him?
That was like the final one where everybody's like, oh, you're actually just fucking batshit crazy now. Like before you had kind of a point and people should make their bed because it makes them feel better. And
I want to go on the record saying I never thought Jordan Peterson had a point.
I want to go on the record and saying I loved Jordan Peterson, and his takedown of what was wrong with the progressive left was on point. But then he just like, after he had that whole thing where he had to go to Russia to get off benzodiazepines and all that stuff, and then he came back and he could only eat meat because he had like some weird autoimmune disease. And then he said the person who cut Elliot, what's her last name?
Oh, he kept dead naming him. Page.
Yeah,
Elliot Page.
He said Elliot Page, the person who cut off his breast, committed a crime, and it was like, all right, dude, you're done. You're done. He's like just fucking the old man in the woods in his bathrobe being like, our cat's out here. And it's like, Jordan, our cat's been dead 10 years. Like, I think he just went senile, and it sucks because it devalidates everything he said before that actually was a very good point.
Maybe he didn't have many very good
because there's this one episode of Joe Rogan where he came on and he spent 10 minutes ripping the progressive left a new one, and it was so on the money and perfectly right. And now I can't be like, well, I could never be like, hey, you guys should listen to this because everybody was like already picked a side.
Yeah, but that's the thing with guys like Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan, I'll add, is everyone's like, oh, they make such great points because they're opposed to the progressive left and they're ripping them apart. And they're just like, not. Their whole thing is that the progressive left is bad and they've gone too far. And like, because they disagree with me and I don't like what they're doing. And
you mean me?
Yeah,
I'm in that camp. Like, I fucking hate the progressive left.
They're not making
since 2015. It's just been a fucking the slippery slope nobody said existed has just been happening for 7 years.
And I'll come out and say that like progressiveness is a good thing.
To a point.
Progression and evolution of society is a good thing. They're like,
if it's
the
going
mob
in the right direction
to like shout. It's always progress only moves in one direction.
No, it doesn't. Look at Iran in the 70s.
Regression.
In the 70s, Iranian women could dress like they did it in basically Europe. And then when they had the Muslim reform and progression or whatever, and they got taken over, then now they all have to wear niqabs.
Yeah, that's regression. That's not progression.
That's something that progressed. That's the same progression that a lot of the stuff we went through happened.
No, that's regression. That's returning. If you return to the way things were before, that's regression. Or if you like turn back the clock and do fundamentalist shit, that's regression. If you're progressing and you're evolving into a new form of society with new mores and new rules, that's progression. And that is overall a good thing. Even if you don't fucking agree with it, I'm like, I talk about it lots, and I'm like, by the time Noah's in high school, there's going to be like no gender. Everyone's going to be fucking everybody. And there's not going to be like any gender lines or like sexual identity. And it's just like, because that's the way we're headed.
For some reason, out of nowhere, fucking therapy is going to be one of the high school classes that everybody has to go to, because as we get so progressive, everybody's all of a sudden getting all these mental health issues because they can't fucking compute it properly because it's just moving too fast for their brains.
Bro, everyone from our generation needs therapy. That's
no, I don't need therapy.
100%. You have all these people with shit that was repressed, because back then it was, you don't talk about your feelings. You don't talk about your identity. You just like fucking fall in line and follow the rules and do shit and find your clique and serve that. And now it's like, you see all these people now who are like, oh, like, fuck, I need like, yes, they will need therapy, but overall that will be a good thing. People now who deny that our generation is every bit as fucked up as the next generation is going to be are like the old out of touch people being like, when I was your age, there were no social problems and everything was fine. And I was see, the problem was we did progress up until 2015, where it was okay to be whatever you want. And it wasn't like people were out and out like telling people they couldn't do the stuff they wanted or have sex with who they wanted, because we all knew the people who said you couldn't were wrong. The whole of society was aware of how conservative views were wrong at that point. But then we kind of went too far and made like legislation, especially in Canada, where if you didn't say someone's proper pronouns, it counted as hate speech. And yes, you should tell people what they want to hear and be like whatever their pronouns are, but it shouldn't be against the law to not say that. And that was the whole thing. That's basically the thing that birthed Jordan Peterson, was that legislation and passing that sort of law. Because that was his whole point, was he was like, I agree with telling people their proper pronouns and stuff, and it shouldn't be controlled speech or whatever. And then when people started to weaponize their progression of like societal ideals and stuff, that was when it started going awry. Yeah, but that was Jordan Peterson's misrepresentation of the whole thing. It's not a crime to not use someone's preferred pronouns. It makes you an asshole,
No, it is in Canada.
No,
if you don't call someone by their requested pronouns, it like they change the law. It's like a thing.
In the criminal code, which does not reference pronouns, misusing pronouns alone would not constitute a criminal act. The misuse of gender pronouns without more cannot rise to the level of a crime. It cannot rise to the level of advocating genocide, inciting hatred, hate speech, or hate crimes. It cannot meet the threshold. The Canadian Human Rights Act does not mention pronouns either. It just protects certain groups from discrimination.
What did they do in like 5 or so years ago when they made like some pronoun thing in Canada?
That was it. That was Bill C-16. And it was, pronouns were never part of it. That was Jordan Peterson being an asshole, being like, I'm being persecuted. I'm being persecuted for being a Kermit the Frog sounding motherfucker. It was never about pronouns.
Wait, what's this?
I think he was sanctioned by the school for it, which
Father
is fine.
Jailed in Canada for using incorrect pronouns.
What are you reading? Theblaze.com? What are you
Independent
reading?
Sentinel.
Yeah.
Hey, if it's factually correct, it doesn't matter the source. I'm just trying, like, I swear to God, it wasn't like a federal crime where you go straight to jail. It was like you could be charged or something.
Oh, so not an actual crime then, just something a bunch of fucking butthurt idiots on the right made up to be like, I'm being persecuted for being an asshole.
Hold on.
It's not a crime.
It's compelled speech.
It's not a
crime. The bill passed into law June 16, 2017. On March 16, 2021, Robert Hoogland surrendered himself to court. A warrant. His crime was to call his daughter a biological female by female pronouns and refusing to affirm her medical transition to become a trans male. The fuck is this? Oh, it's a whole article. Oh, Dr. Peterson weighed in.
Oh, of course he did.
Wait, it doesn't say what he was charged with.
Yeah. Guess why? Guess why it doesn't say that?
Well, then why did he go to jail?
Because probably for some fucking, like, if you pair not using someone's pronoun with also actively inciting hatred or discrimination against them, then yes, that would meet the threshold for being a hate crime. But simply dead naming someone or not using their preferred pronouns, that in and of itself is not a crime. And yet a bunch of fucking people who listen to Joe Rogan, who we will talk more at length about in this episode,
this says not real news somewhere else. No Canadians cannot be jailed or fined.
But guess what? You have all these people insisting that Canada has a lot of people who make the evidence that progress has gone too far.
Hello? Oh, looks like Derek just got cut off because he was so wrong. That sucks. Maybe you should restart your computer once in a while before you.
I don't want to be convicted of a crime. What?
You just, like, the last 20 seconds of that were missed because you froze up.
Yeah, my internet's kind of shit in the bed. I think it's
whatever. Oh, it says mine's unstable too.
Oh, maybe it's you, fuckhead.
Is this another Rogers thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Anyway.
Let's just get over this. Nobody cares anymore.
Well, I want to argue about Joe Rogan now because
Joe Rogan,
again, dipshit.
my ride or die.
Dipshit who, like, and here's the thing. Joe Rogan is making news in Canada because every so often Joe Rogan needs to let bees like, well, maybe my listens in Canada on Spotify.
No. Here's what happens. This is how Joe Rogan makes news is he has a 3-hour podcast and he's fucking around with a comedian. And then like 2 hours into the podcast, he's like, Trudeau, that guy's like a communist. Then he complains about Trudeau. And then fucking legacy media is like, oh shit. 5 days later, they're like, Joe Rogan said something.
We better report on this. Yeah.
Speaking of Trudeau, did you see his haircut?
No.
He's not our beautiful hairdo anymore, Derek.
I don't care.
He looks like an adult now.
I don't even like Trudeau, but I was like, Joe Rogan's a fucking moron.
You don't like Trudeau, but you hate Rogan more.
I hate Rogan more. But I was like,
does how much I love Joe Rogan make you hate him more?
No, I'd hate him equally. Even if you were like, I too hate Joe Rogan, I would be like, great, we can agree on this. Instead, now it's just like, but like the thing with Joe Rogan,
yeah,
and this was like the one comment from his fucking thing, and I keep getting into this. This is like the one internet argument I have now because
who are you arguing on the internet with Joe Rogan about? I don't even talk about Joe Rogan on the internet.
It's not about Joe Rogan. It's about every time. So we talked about my newfound baseball fandom last week. Are you going to tell me that people who are fan of sports are not fans of progressive lefts? Well, no. So they're not fans of knowledge, which apparently neither is Joe Rogan. But
why would they be watching sports if they wanted knowledge? They would just go get knowledge instead of sports.
It was like every time a visiting team comes to play in Toronto, which is the lone Canadian team, they'll be like, oh, we're leaving like 4 to 10 of our unvaccinated players at home because they can't cross the border due to their vaccine status. Let them cross
the border. Who gives a fuck?
Hold up. So everyone's like, whoa, fucking Canada. How dare they fucking do this? Not letting Canada's so fucking ass backwards, not letting unvaccinated people cross the border. And then my one argument will be, I will go on and I will be like, the US does this also.
Yeah.
if you are unvaccinated and you're not a US citizen or resident, you cannot cross the border into America. And Joe Rogan, same thing on his fucking dumbass podcast saying idiot shit. He was like, well, what's Canada doing with this COVID policy? Unvaccinated people cross the border. It's like, yes, Joe, including many countries have that policy in place right now, including the one that you live in. And that wasn't a policy put in place by fucking Joe Biden. It was a policy put in place by Donald Trump.
That was the one that everybody said Donald Trump was racist on because that was like, didn't that come about during the same? Well, I guess it wouldn't have because they didn't have the vaccines yet, but it was like whenever Donald Trump was like, other countries can't come here, it was like, you're a racist.
No, that was specifically because he called it the Wuhan flu or the Kung flu, and he said racist shit like a fucking idiot. If he had just been, hey, people from all countries need to be vaccinated to enter our country, they wouldn't have called him a racist. They called him a racist because he was a racist.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe Rogan, who has
I'm not getting pulled into defending Trump.
Who has
you have not got me there, sir.
Who has a fucking $20 million contract from Spotify, can't even be bothered.
Whatever. Derek, it's $100 million.
$20 million?
It was $100 million. And that was like only to just put it on Spotify. It's not even a contract. He still has advertising, everything. He makes so much money.
Joe Rogan, you make enough money to hire a single research assistant who could like go through and fact check the shit that you're saying. I really like Dax Shepard. His podcast is good at that because every episode that Dax Shepard does of Armchair Expert, at the end of it, they'll like dedicate like 5 minutes to like fact checking.
I do like that.
Where they go and they're like, yeah, and they'll like fact check them and they'll correct their own inaccuracies before they publish it. And like Joe Rogan, you need some shit like that, bro.
Yeah.
Hire a fact
checker.
The
only thing I don't like about Dax Shepard is he edits his podcast episodes too much.
What do you mean? Does he?
Like, yeah, he takes out all the ums and ahs, and every once in a while you can hear when it clips.
I remember I tried doing that with ours.
Yeah.
Like for like 3 episodes, and it was taking me like an hour and a half to edit everyone. I was like, I'm not fucking doing it. I don't care how dumb I sound to our 4 listeners. I don't give a shit. I hope you think I'm extra dumb. But guess what? No matter how many times I say or ah, I can still tell you that the US has the same COVID vaccination policy in place at the border. And that's something that Joe Rogan just doesn't know. Who deserves $100 million from Spotify now? Dale?
Me and you.
Me.
I love Joe Rogan, ride or die, but I can honestly say me and you should be getting paid more from Spotify than Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at like money per factual truth spoken, we have already earned $100 million, and Joe Rogan has earned 0 over every episode that he has done. But yeah, kudos to the Canadian media who were like, "Oh, this fucking shithead pseudo celebrity said Trudeau's awful." It's like, okay, I'll also say Trudeau is awful, and Joe Rogan should hire a fucking fact checker.
Yeah.
We
should hire a fact checker too.
No, we don't need.
We could at the beginning of every episode, we could be like, "These are the 100 things that we got wrong.
These are the
days of what Dale got wrong.
Sand through the hourglass."
Yeah.
What are we talking
My
about?
only beef with this is they keep doing this where it's like, I'll listen to Joe Rogan and then I'll be like, whatever. And then 5 days later,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you sit down
and
listen?
Down.
How do you stand up? How do you put Joe Rogan into your ear holes for 2 consecutive hours, multiple times a week?
Like this.
I don't know.
Like this.
I don't know how you do it.
Boop, and then I pick up my phone and I go beep, beep, boop, boop, bop. And I go
it
play,
makes those noises.
And then I go, ooh, this is so good. I love Joe Rogan so much. Ooh. No, because all day at work, I listen to podcasts. So because I do stuff with my hands that takes no brain power.
I do stuff with my hands.
I build shit. And if I didn't listen to podcasts, if I didn't listen to podcasts while I'm turning screws in and taking stuff apart and putting it back together, I would go insane. So I'll just put on Joe Rogan and I will listen to it while I'm doing other stuff. And I will also put on other episodes or other podcasts
of Joe Rogan specifically.
Yeah. I listen to mostly Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Because he always has scientists and stuff on and authors, which is cool. But then every once in a while he'll have a nutritionist on, and I'm I don't need to feel bad about my body, so I don't listen to it.
And they're very rarely scientists or nutritionists with fucking weird fringe beliefs.
Yeah, they are.
They're usually right there in the mainstream.
Dude, he had this sleep doctor on once, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. Because there was this guy who's dedicated his life to sleep research. And he's like, if you sleep less than 6 hours a day, you're going to get Alzheimer's. And I was like, what the fuck?
I wonder if it was the guy. There's a guy who wrote a really fucking good book about it. But it's like alarmism about lack of sleep. Yeah. And I was like, I'm fucked. It will actually shave years off of your life if you aren't getting enough sleep. And I sleep probably 5 hours a night. What are you clocking in at?
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Usually 6. I get up at 5, so I try to go to bed. I used to go to bed at 10, but now I'm it's turned into 11, in summer, especially because it's so light out. So I get about 6. But yeah, and also this other guy who's on this other podcast was talking about sleep. He was on Two Bears, One Cave. That's Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer's podcast. But he was it was somebody was sitting in for Bert Kreischer, and he was he was a power lifter or whatever. And he's a health guy. And he was talking about how if you get shitty enough sleep and you test yourself in the morning, you could read diabetic. You could get the same testing as a diabetic would get just from not having enough sleep.
Oh, it was the guy who wrote the book, Dr. Matthew Walker.
Yeah, dude, that guy's nuts.
Yeah, Why We Sleep
scared the shit out of me.
Read the book. It'll fucking, especially if you're
I already listened to Joe Rogan. I have all the knowledge I need.
Go directly to the source.
3 hour
and go get it
from
Joe Rogan, who will be like, if you're not sleeping enough, it's the liberals' fault.
Dude, my absolute favorite thing about Joe Rogan is he says wrong stuff. And he says dumb stuff all the time. Joe Rogan himself isn't the smartest man, but he has all these super interesting guests, like this Dr. Walker guy. And it's somebody will be talking about something. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I know. I heard about that. And they're like, where'd you hear about that? I'm like, Joe Rogan. And it happens so much. And people are like, oh.
That was my other favorite thing about Joe Rogan's fucking criticism of Trudeau is he says during his little rant, he's like, I have no idea how the Canadian system works. And then he goes on to like, which like kudos to Joe Rogan. That is fact checking yourself in real time, Joe Rogan. And you should do that every episode. Just be like, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't actually understand anything.
He says that every episode. This whole podcast, at least once. He's always like, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't understand my thinly politics.
Veiled beliefs and give a platform to fringe dipshits like
sleep doctors,
like no,
and Joel Huari,
like fucking
and Sebastian Unger.
What's the fucking he does like that, which is cool. But then he does like, oh, here's Candace Owens, who has like no redeeming social qualities. And
he only had her on once.
Nothing about anything.
That was like 2 years ago.
Why have her on at all? Why not have Mia? I too am a person who is a fucking loudmouth on Twitter and understands nothing about anything. Why not have me on?
Green-eyed monster.
Why not have me on? Hey, I can shit talk liberals. Gender identity is a myth. Derek, equal rights are bad.
Derek, he won't have you on because you're too thirsty.
Climate change. You
just come off as too thirsty, bro.
Climate change is not real.
Hey,
and what?
Desperation is a strong
wokeism is destroying the fabric of our society.
It is. Just think of how great society was in that 2 weeks right before wokeism kicked off. Right, it was like right as conservatism finally fell. And we all took a breath of fresh air, and then wokeism just like tried to alienate as many people as it could.
When the fuck
for that 1 week, it was like 2014 and a half was.
You know what I would honestly recommend to everyone who thinks that like wokeism is too much? Just get off Twitter. Seriously? Once you leave Twitter and you stop exposing yourself.
I agree.
Every day. You're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, like, you know how much I have to hear about like woke shit, like outside of Twitter?
None.
Extremely rarely. It's just like, or it'll be like a normal conversation where someone's like, oh, I think these people should have more rights. And you're like, I agree with that. But
and then you're like, whoa, they have enough rights.
Yeah.
Anything else is just pushing it, buddy.
Every time we give marginalized people more rights, you're taking some away from me, the white male. We can't have that anymore. I need more rights. Restore my rights to me. But yeah, like honestly, like everyone who like on both sides of the argument, everyone's who are like just catastrophizing like the other side in the social what the fuck is it called? Culture war that we have going on.
Yeah.
If my advice to them would be like, just get off Twitter. Two weeks. 2 weeks no Twitter. See what happens.
Remember last week we were talking about the white privilege thing and how dumb it was with Anne Frank?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. Is there levels and gradations to white privilege? Because do Euroslavs have the same amount as white privilege? Like, do the Russians and Ukrainians right now who are blowing each other up, do they have the same amount as white privilege as say I do?
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a spectrum, right? So you have like
nice answer.
You have like white Westerners who are like the top of the spectrum. That's and the rich. Most white privilege.
You can't have like do we count class separately, or does that count as sort of the same thing?
Why is my camera making me look like I'm jaundiced? I no longer have white privilege because
you have jaundiced.
My liver has
failed. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I was going to be like,
no,
don't mention the color. Just mention what it means.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Do you have the cyan filter or the cinnamon filter on?
I might. This is all from fucking last week when I
pink out.
When I put my
what you didn't get on your computer and prepare like half hour early?
No. I was watching the home run derby, bro.
Oh, I missed the home run derby.
Oh, dude, just a solid couple hours of socking dingers all over the place. I
love how much you love baseball.
I'm into it big time.
Nice.
Sock them dingers. Okay,
who's your team?
There's us. What? Blue Jays because they're Canadian.
Shut up.
And then for real, and then the Phillies because Kate's from Philly, okay. And I like the Mariners because they're in Seattle. But like my all-time team.
So you just like close teams,
like physical proximity or like teams.
It's like a childhood friend. It's whoever lives next door to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Cubs because I've gone to Wrigley Field a couple times, and it's like a very like. Wait, what?
The best was I was just giving you shit for liking the local team. Yeah. And my favorite team is the Detroit Tigers because it's a tiger and their logo is a D.
Yeah.
And it's the dumbest reason. That's a perfectly right after reason. I was like, you just have like proximity bias.
That's a perfectly valid reason. Be like, I fucking like Tigers. You know who else you would have liked? When I grew up, I grew up in Medicine Hat, Alberta. They got a WHL team called the Medicine Hat Tigers. Fucking
that is
dope
a pretty
logo.
Strong
orange and black were their colors. They fucking
I do love orange and black.
Whipped ass. They won a Memorial Cup with Trevor Linden while I lived there. That's what led me to become a Canucks fan. Anyway,
that's why you're ride or die Canucks.
Oh, we're the most privileged.
Yeah,
the most privileged.
I feel like rich people are more privileged than me. I don't even have it.
Well,
boat.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't even know someone who has a boat that I can go ride on.
If we're just talking like, okay, so if you want to broaden the spectrum a little more, there's like very fantastically well,
okay,
like
wait,
1%.
Wait. I got an idea. Wait. So we have the spectrum of white privilege.
Yeah.
And you're on that somewhere.
Yeah.
But your class is like a magnet that pulls you up or down. So if this is a spectrum and you're here because you're whatever finite degree of whiteness or whatever that puts you there, but you're rich, it moves you over to the higher. But if you're poor, it moves you down.
Right. So in every hierarchy, there's going to be like, so there's the entire spectrum of white privilege, and then it's broken up by class, right? But you could say that like some poor white hillbilly from like backwoods Alabama, like it would be tough to argue from our perspective that they have white privilege, but they're probably doing better than the average African American in the same zip code as them, right?
Oh yeah.
So
like if you had the same class, had an African American hillbilly and a poor white hillbilly, I bet the African American guy would have a lot harder time with the local police.
Yeah, 100. Yeah. And that, my friend, that's white privilege. So when we look at Anne Frank, and we could say, well, if there was Anne Frank, who was super white, just like extremely Caucasian. I'm making jokes right now.
I was like, okay,
where's he going with
better
this
have
one?
A payoff.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, see, it's like if she left the attic and she got discovered and she was killed on the spot or whatever by Nazis, would her white privilege get her like 0.5 seconds more life than say an African German? Was she in Germany?
Germanic?
African German.
She was Dutch, wasn't she?
No, she was in Holland.
Yeah, she was in Holland.
But was she from Holland? Anyways, like an African. Yeah, this is a bad joke. No. We should do. No. I mean,
she was German. You're right.
We managed to get through last week without getting canceled by our viewers, so we shouldn't have tested our luck.
I mean, that's one of the big benefits of having a podcast with such incredibly low listenership is that who's going to cancel us? Who among you?
Sorry, this is beside. Okay, yeah, beside like back to the Trudeau thing for a second. Did you know?
Oh, we're going back
that
to
a German politician called Trudeau a fascist to his face.
Did they?
Like after he did the
trucker shutdown shit?
Yeah, for a week.
For him. And not good for Trudeau. Good for the.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, "Holy fuck!"
I mean, that was pretty fucking. A German politician would know, but yes. that was very fucking problematic. That might be the one
broke Trudeau's heart.
That might be the one thing Joe Rogan was accurate about.
Oh yeah, that's like once he did that, Joe Rogan found out who Trudeau was, because before that he was just like, some guy. It's like. And that's the only reason Joe Rogan knows who he is because he did that.
Yeah.
what was it? What did he declare? What was that? What's that shit called?
What?
It
wasn't martial law.
Yeah, it was. It was a type of martial law, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just like no, it was just a state of emergency, wasn't it? For Ottawa?
No, because state of emergency was in effect the whole time because of COVID. I thought he declared martial law, and that was why it was such a big deal, because martial law hadn't been called since his father did it for the FLQ crisis. Yeah, he called martial law. I'm pretty sure.
Did he actually?
I'm pretty sure.
Claim that Canada imposed martial law is false. PolitiFact.
What?
Oh, he invoked the Emergencies Act.
Which is what they call martial law now because they renamed it.
Well, they didn't send.
They didn't send troops in.
They didn't send troops in. But they did do the way it works is it basically just like you call the Emergency Act and then it like frees up unlimited funds for you to deal with the problem, which in this case was protesters,
and how he like turned off bank accounts. That was pretty crazy too.
Yeah. Or like chasing, even like I get maybe taking the step of like, okay, this is fundraising for some, and like not this particular protest, but like if there is somebody, like let's say there's somebody raising funds for, I don't fucking know. It's like help us raise money so we can firebomb abortion clinics in Canada. Mm-hmm. In that case, I would argue that the government or the law should step in and like shut that down. So what the problem I had is that they were going and tracing donations to the shit from private donors, which like fuck out of here. You should absolutely fucking not. In no world is that okay in a democratic society. You should not be allowed to chase down donors and impose sanctions against them just because they donated to something that you don't agree with.
Exactly. I think that was like Trudeau's big mistake because he was like showed how crazy Canada can get if they're like, oh yeah, they could just turn off your bank accounts, and everyone was like, what?
No, everyone in Canada who was a fucking crazy leftist was like, yeah, this is good because it's a protest I don't agree with.
They'll never turn off my bank account unless they're Rogers and it just doesn't work.
This would never. Did we talk about that on the fucking shit at all?
No, we didn't.
Okay. I want to go on record saying Canada is like universally acknowledged to have the fucking worst cell phone rates and like carriers in like the entire Western world. Like
it's because it's too big. It's too big.
It's just fucking dog. No, what the problem is, and this is also a fuck you to the Canadian government, because what the problem is that there are three major carriers for telecommunications in Canada. They are Rogers, Bell, and TELUS.
Yeah.
Am I missing any? No, that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay. So the problem is that these three companies can basically like price fix. So there's no competition. You're going and they all keep their rates generally the same. And
I just want to point out that anybody's like, but there's more companies. All the other cell phone companies
are owned by
fall under those because Virgin is actually Rogers.
Yeah.
No, Fido is actually TELUS.
The other way around. Virgin is Bell.
No, Virgin is 100% Rogers.
No, Fido's Rogers.
Fucking guarantee. No, Fido's TELUS.
Watch this. I'm going to prove you wrong right now.
Okay.
Fact checking in real time. Canadian cell phone carry.
What's the other one? There's Fido.
Here's Kudo is TELUS. Okay. Phone providers in Canada.
Kudo.
You ready for this? You ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Kudo is owned by TELUS.
Okay.
Virgin is owned by Bell.
What the fuck? It used to be Rogers.
Fido is owned by Rogers.
Swear to God.
And then you have the like sub tier after that, and those are Public, Lucky, and Chatter. Public is owned by TELUS.
I've never heard of Chat Public.
Lucky is owned by Bell.
I've never heard of
Chatter
Lucky.
Is owned by Rogers.
What the fuck? Bell owns Virgin? When did that happen? I thought for sure it was Rogers.
Okay, Joe Rogan, whatever you say. So
I mean, I could be wrong.
So the Canadian government has basically said that like outside non-Canadian companies cannot compete in Canada. Like they're not allowed to come into the country and offer cell phone services. And these 3 companies have like a fucking 80-year head start on like building the infrastructure needed to support. So like basically these 3 companies know that we are stuck with them until the end of fucking time. And there's nothing we can fucking do about it. And if we have a problem with what the like top tier are charging us, we can, tuck our dick between their legs and go to the cheaper tier that is still owned by them and still giving them money. And if you're a Canadian, you are fucked because our government has basically stifled any competition whatsoever in telecommunications.
Same with press and media and stuff.
And yeah, wasn't there a time when like fucking what's his name? Conrad, is that still a thing? Conrad Black?
Yeah, it's
the Post. What was it? The Post Media?
It was Black Media.
Black Media.
And then it was like it's weird because it changed hands a couple times, and then so there's Post Media and Black Media or whatever.
What's
and then
the one that owns
bought pieces of each other? And
Vancouver has two major market daily newspapers, and they're both owned by the same.
That's every city. Now every city is the same because since 2012, when the second recession hit, they like consolidated all of media. So it's like the Calgary Sun and the Calgary Herald are owned by the same person, and they're written out of the same building by the same writers. They just put a different stint, like a different slant on their writing when they're writing articles. And then in Edmonton, it's the Journal and the Sun. Vancouver is the Sun and the Province.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post Media. Yeah. Anyway, so the Canadian government is like so fucking fixated on, and I maybe understand how this shit made sense back in the day when you wanted Canadian businesses to like remain competitive, and be able to.
It kind of makes sense to me because even though it sucks, if American companies and stuff came in, they would just fucking steamroller over everything and just own everything. Which would be bad for Canadian because then this, I guess this was also before everything was outsourced anyway. Like you'd figure that everything would just like, I guess with the media specifically, they were scared it would just all be outsourced to the States.
Yeah.
And they would just make it in the States and send it up here.
Yeah. Or it would be the States reporting on things that were favorable to the States. And like back in the day when people got their news from newspapers, sure, that made sense. But now you have however many Canadians getting their news from Joe fucking Rogan. So what does it matter if we're not letting Canadian news or American businesses buy Canadian newspapers? Does it make a difference?
Actually, Joe Rogan, I think it might have been the same episode or the episode before. For whatever reason, he was talking about like news and newspapers and stuff. And he came up with this pretty good idea of just having like the equivalent of a local newspaper, but it's a podcast, and you just get one for every city. So they just like, instead of like making a local newspaper, they make a local podcast with all the news that's going on, which would be cool.
Yeah, only instead of just audio, it's also video, and the podcasters can sit behind a desk with like a green screen behind them, and they can read the news for Joe Rogan. You fucking idiot! You invented the morning news. You fucking moron! Shit for brains.
Yeah, which they should do in every small town. And if Burnaby needs 2 hosts for their news podcast, me and Derek are avails.
I actually really like that shit. You have I thought about doing it for a while because there was like a short-lived period where I was like, I want to listen to like a daily news podcast, but I want it to be like short and like here's the headlines and here's what you need to know. But I also want it to be like irreverent and funny. And like you could like tick like 2 of the boxes of those, but you couldn't get all 3. There was like a funny one that did daily headline. It wasn't that funny, but it did daily headlines, but it was like a fucking hour and a half long. And then there were like the daily headlines ones were very like, serious, and here's the breaking news from NPR. But there's like nobody being like making a news podcast that like you and I would listen to, right? Just like, here's some fucking jokes about dicks, and also here's the day's news with some jokes about dicks.
Hey, cut it. Don't say anything more. We're gonna make this podcast.
This is gonna be
it'll be like Outrage Factory News.
Well, yeah, but then we'd have to do it
OFN.
We'd have to do it every.
No, see,
I like it.
The next part of this is, hey, if you're a young up and coming producer who needs some exposure and is willing to work for free, have we got an opportunity for you?
Even if you're an old shitty producer and your work sucks, we'll take it for free. But we would prefer the other one, the young up and coming one.
If anybody, or even if you're a wizened professional who just wants to do something for free out of the kindness of your heart in a way to give back because you realized that you dedicated your life to an unforgiving news organization that didn't pay you back, and you missed out on your child's birthdays and stuff and their sporting events, and you want to give back and try to get your karma back with the universe like it's a fucking Hallmark movie, you can also produce our show.
Yeah, or if you've been recently fired from a radio station for reasons that shall remain unspoken, maybe there were some HR complaints against you, or maybe you had some really toxic opinions you expressed on the internet that got dug up. Whatever the reason, we will take you gladly. Just don't put your name on our podcast, and we'll never tell anyone who's doing it. But we'll let you work for us for free.
We won't milkshake duck you, but we can't promise that our 20 fans won't either.
Yeah, we can't. Imagine how many more fans we have if we put out news every day.
Every day?
Every week?
Every day.
What are we talking about doing
every
here?
Day makes sense, but we'd have to like dig up the headlines and stuff.
Just like five
do
minutes.
The Drudge Report.
Be like, here's the dick. Does that guy still exist?
Dude, I think so. Wasn't it just a website? Was it called the Drudge Report?
He was like one of the like legendary muckrakers. He raked some muck.
Like,
he was a muckraker.
The worst news or web site to read ever.
His website was dog shit, but apparently it was very popular.
Drudge Report 2022. Yeah. Mega Deathmatch Arizona. Drudge Report.
Drudge Report.
Aged political women. Whoa, there's Elon Musk being Elon Musk.
Whoa,
dude, this website is still dog shit.
Dude, he has not updated it. The title, right, or the very first link up at the top.
The downsides of Saudi golf tour.
Musk is not looking good. No, mine says Rogan calls Trump man baby, says he was on drugs in the White House.
Yeah, that was the same episode, because what happened was they were talking about Trump and how he was a man baby and how he is like an existential threat to. That's how Joe Rogan always calls Donald Trump. He's like, he was entertaining and I loved his tweets, but he's an existential threat to democracy. And he's always ripping him because he's scared people he'll think he's a Trumper. Because he went into overdrive with that after he made fun of Biden. And then everybody's like, Joe Rogan made fun of Biden. That means he loves Trump. And it's like, no.
Biden is also a very easy president to make fun of, because he's just as like senile and fucked up as Trump was, but he lacks the like teeth to do anything about it. He's like, you can just shit talk Biden endlessly, and he's not going to fucking. Trump would do something unhinged to strike back at you, and Biden's just like, oh shucks.
Dude, there was this thing where young Joe Biden. Have you ever listened to young Joe Biden?
No.
He's got some swagger. But anyways, remember when he wrote that terrible crime bill that pretty much fucked over California or whatever in like 2004? Anyways, Joe Biden, there's like this clip, and Jimmy Dore played it on his show, of Joe Biden being like, if you get caught with crack cocaine, you're going to jail for 5 years. And then Jimmy Dore's like, so I guess we should send your son to jail for 5 years. This was recently because somebody had just cracked Hunter Biden's iCloud account, and he had all these videos of himself like weighing out crack cocaine and like having sex with prostitutes and all this crazy ass shit.
I'm gonna say that the Hunter Biden slander fucking needs to end. Like the guy.
What? No, it doesn't.
The guy was an addict.
Yeah.
Like addicted to some really shitty drugs.
Yeah.
Addicts
everybody else like that, Joe Biden locked away for life.
It does. Yeah. So fucking attack Joe Biden for doing that. That's where you should be focused.
Yeah.
Don't attack his fucking addict son for doing addict shit while he was an addict.
Was an addict.
Hunter
he was
Biden.
On like a electrical board or whatever for like that had dealings with Ukraine.
Oh no, I care so fucking much about that. No, I don't. I care, like, who gives a fuck if they had, oh no, he was on electrical board. They made money from the Ukraine. Like, if you don't like Joe Biden, fine, that's your prerogative. If you don't like what Joe Biden did to addicts, fine, fucking attack Joe Biden for that. If you don't like Joe Biden's policies or you think he's a weird fucking hair sniffing old man, attack Joe Biden for that. Do not attack his fucking addict son.
All right.
For any of that shit. Like Don Jr. spent fucking 90% of the time that Trump was in the White House, probably like coked out of his mind. Don't fucking attack him for that either. Attack Trump for the Trump shit. But we don't have to dunk on addicts for being addicts. Let's punch up, not down. Up is the president, down is his crackhead son. So, like, you know, if we're looking at the hierarchy of things, let's not shit on addicts.
Okay, fine.
Thanks.
We won't.
Fuck, Elon Musk is not looking good in this picture.
No, this picture on the Drudge Report,
is that real?
Like yeah, dude. When has that guy been in the sun?
Oh my God. Yeah.
We're not going to body shame Elon Musk.
I know you have a good point.
He's like what, 55?
Okay, for a 55-year-old, like I probably
he looks. His body is a shape, and it is not fat. It is just very white.
Did you click through to the headline on Daily Mail?
Where? Which one? The
from
Musk
that picture?
escapes?
If you click through, yeah. The headline is bleached male. God bless the Brits.
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
we never talked about Boris Johnson stepping down.
Yeah. Is that a big thing?
Yes and no. It would help if I researched the story to see, because apparently he knew that some guy did some shady shit. I don't know exactly what that guy did, and he still put him into like a position in government. And then he was like, I didn't know. And then they proved later that he knew. I can't remember what it was.
You know,
I don't know if
Johnson was born in New York City.
Crazy.
Do you know his actual name is Alexander Boris DePfeffel Johnson?
DePfeffel?
Yeah.
Those Brits.
Like, that is a bougie ass upper crust fucking name if I ever heard one.
Wait, what was it again? I already forgot. That's how crazy it was.
Alexander Boris DePfeffel Johnson.
DePfeffel.
Like Pfeffel.
DePfeffel. Okay, wait. I'm going to click because he stepped down from, it says here, a wave of scandals, which is crazy.
Oh, did he have some scandals? Oh.
Yeah.
60 MPs quit their jobs and called on Johnson to stand down.
Because of this one thing.
Oh, amid accusations of sexual misconduct spanning over a decade.
He did the sexual misconduct?
No, it was a guy, an MP, and it later emerged that he'd known all about his history before giving him the job.
Yeah, so basically he was like the Catholic Church, and people were like, fuck off, you're done.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't going to step down, and then 60 people quit, and then he stepped down, which, I mean, it's news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Boris.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And I think if he had been the leader of the UK at any other time in history, he would have been like denounced as one of the worst world leaders. But because that's like the Trump effect, it's like it doesn't really matter how shitty you were if you governed at the same time as Trump, because he was just that bad that you look good by comparison.
Yeah, it was like Biden's whole campaign platform. I'm not Trump.
Yeah. Although, like, now I look at it and I'm like, well, I mean, is Biden really? You know what the US just needs to do? They need to put a cap, and they need to say, if you are over the age of 60, you can run for like president of the olds, and you like you can like rule over like a network of like retirement homes or something, but you don't get to be president of the United States anymore because you're too fucking old.
I think it should be 65. And they like, if we're going to make people retire at 65, that should include the president.
Nobody fucking retires at 65.
So the last time you can make the last time you can make president is when you're 61. We just had 2 guys at work retire at 65.
Did they? Fuck, yeah, I got to become a welder.
Yeah.
You guys are union, aren't you?
No.
Oh. Never mind. You should.
They owned houses and stuff, so they're rich because it's Vancouver. Right. They bought houses in the 70s.
Yeah.
So they had retirement funds, aka they could just sell their house for $1 million.
We won't get to do that.
Who cares? We'll probably be dead by then. Yeah. The whole world's going to be dead by then.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if I can't retire at 55, what's the point? Like, what am I going to do when I'm 65? Well, actually, I could play video games and read comic books and watch TV all day. That sounds pretty lit.
You could start a blog against wokeism.
Dude, I would be the angriest old man.
You
I'm halfway there. I just got to get older.
You would be like, what the fuck?
Back in my day.
How many genders are there now? Who's canceling who? I'm Jordan Peterson. You could be the new Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yeah. Make your bed. How about instead of going to therapy, you go for a run?
I mean, you can do both.
That's true.
Okay, we got time for one more story. What do you got? Pick your favorite. Pick your favorite.
We should talk about one of these ones your wife gave us, because she gave us a couple.
She gives us good ones.
And we don't talk about them.
Well, so she talked about dolphin birthing or dolphin assisted birth. I went and looked, and apparently it was just like one place was doing it, and they're out of business now. So
okay, how about this? You can't do that because dolphins are perverts. They're like one of 3 species of animals that has sex for pleasure besides humans, bonobo apes, and
aren't they rapey too?
Oh, they're very rapey.
Yeah. Dolphins are rapey.
If dolphins being rapey is in the zeitgeist enough to make a Hank Hill or a King of the Hill episode, then they must be very rapey. Because there's a King of the Hill episode about Hank Hill getting raped by a dolphin.
Oh, for real?
Not like full on raped, I don't think, because that sounds a little racy for King of the Hill. But I think a dolphin like tried to, and it like, since Hank Hill's all homophobic, it like blew his world apart.
Considering it was the 90s.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Let's do the Mia Khalifa one, which
we should talk about it because we touched on it last week.
We touched it last week.
Yeah. Did you know Mia Khalifa only did porn for 6 months?
Yeah, she didn't do it that long.
And then she got death threats, so she quit. But now she's like, what, rich and famous? Or I don't understand.
I remember a thing where she was, she's got OnlyFans now.
Oh.
And I think she's become she's just like leaning in. That's the nice thing now, is that like you don't even need to do porn. You could just like start an OnlyFans and you can.
She did porn. She did.
She did.
She wasn't like Sasha Grey did porn, but she did porn.
No, which by the way,
she wasn't like Belladonna did porn, but she did porn.
It's as a guy who loves baseball, I spend a lot of time on Twitch now watching Twitch streamers, mostly playing baseball games.
Derek,
we talked about this last time.
If you watch Twitch streamers at your age, You could have Twitch streamers watch you at this.
No,
age.
I can't do it. I'm not.
Dude, we could Twitch.
I'm not lit enough. We could stream our podcast.
I have a
to
Twitch account.
We could stream our podcast to Twitch.
Yeah, we could.
Why are we fucking around on this Facebook shit? We should just Twitch it next time.
Oh yeah, we should try it.
Anyway, there's also this entire subgenre of like porn stars on Twitch who like just chat with nerdy dudes, but also play video games. And Sasha Grey was on there, and I was like, Sasha Grey, I remember you from like when I really enjoyed porn 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Sasha Grey did hardcore porn too. Derek froze again, so I'm just going to try Phil with my expertise. Cool. Oh, you froze again for the last 20 seconds.
Did you hear what I said?
You said, oh, Sasha Grey, I remember you from when you did porn 20 years ago, and then you cut out.
Oh, yeah, and I watched her stream, and she's not cool.
No.
But she's like not cool at all. Like you would expect, maybe just I would expect that. Yeah. Like a porn star to like be at least a little cool, but she reminded me of her personality.
Hey, you're using the word cool and it's very vague. What do you mean? Like she can't take a joke cool, or she doesn't like know interesting things cool, or
no, she was just like a fucking dork. Like she seemed very like socially awkward and nerdy. She reminded me of
person who does porn.
There's a person you and I know who we met off of Twitter, who's like very nerdy and like a girl in like nerd culture. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Don't name any names.
This is gonna.
We know her from Twitter.
Difficult.
I'll text you the name after. But her personality was like exactly like that girl's, and I was just like,
oh.
Kind of ruins the mystique. Like if you're a porn star,
dude, that's a double burn, because it's like not only do you have the same personality of Sasha Grey, which you'd probably be offended by.
You don't look like Sasha Grey.
The reason you remind me of it is because you're totally awkward and it's very hard to deal with, which is the double burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't imagine like porn stars having a lot of charisma in general, because I think they wouldn't have had to go to porn if they had a lot of charisma.
I don't know.
Sasha Grey was always like, I just did porn because I like doing porn, and you're like, woo, what?
Well, for like, I think it's empowering for some people. Like that's like, fuck yeah, this is my chosen profession. Like sex work is work. I'm gonna do this.
Oh my god, that reminds me of something I wanted to talk about on this podcast, but I totally forgot about right now.
Oh shit, let's go.
I think I'm not a pervert anymore.
Oh.
I think I aged out of it.
Oh.
Because
no, that's not how you age into becoming more of a pervert.
No, I aged out of it because I made a joke tweet about I was like, oh, I'm sick of like listening to podcasts by comedians. Maybe I'll listen to something smart. And then I listened to Sam Harris. I was like, well, that was depressing. So I went back to Tim Dillon. And then someone's like, you should listen to this. Friend of the podcast, Colleen, who's never been on the podcast
and will never be on the podcast,
recommended it because of her choice. She's welcome anytime she wants to come on.
No, Dale, we wouldn't have her on.
She is. She's a treat. She recommended me listening to Broke Girl Therapy, and the podcast title was Pegging and Pits Feast. And it was like these three nerdy girls, and one of them was talking about she was in this threesome with this couple, and she was pegging the girl while the guy railed her. And I was like, it sounds like a lot of work. And I found out today that the term pegging isn't exclusive for when a girl wears a strap on and has sex with a man in his butt with the strap on. Pegging can also mean when a girl wears a strap on and has sex with a girl with either of her holes.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that. I thought that was just strap on sex.
No.
I thought pegging was just specifically. Anyways, so I'm listening to this. Yeah, I'm listening to this podcast, and I was just like, it wasn't doing anything for me. I was like, I guess that's cool. Sounds like a lot of work is set up and stuff.
Maybe you're just not into pegging.
Yeah, no, it was. But she was saying like this one girl sat on her face while because she was like did couples a bunch with like different guys. She's like, the girl sat on her face and the guy like used a dill on her and stuff. And I was like, and to me, it just sounded like all this work, like to get to like super horny sex. I feel like you need like a lot of ramp up, and then afterwards just sounds like a nightmare. Like, is there anything you can think of that would be less fun than cleaning dildos and toys that were stuck in someone's butt after you've already had sex and you're like totally back to normal and your like animal brain is like satiated?
Are they not disposable?
No, like people have favorite dildos, so it's like when they like stick them in each other's butts, then they like come and they're all like laying on the bed afterwards. They're like, well, I better wash off this dildo before it gets too gross to ever use again.
Can you just pay people to do that for you?
Yeah, I guess if you have enough money to pay people. To me, it just sounds like more dishes.
White privilege. Hey, listeners, if you have a problem with cleaning off your sex toys post-coitus and you'd like Dale and I to take care of that for you, head on over to our Patreon. What?
I'm not. No.
You love sex juices.
Ew.
That was all I could do. That was what they called you in high school. Old sex juice Deruda.
Yeah, that's what I told them to call me. No, like I was a super pervert in my 20s and 30s. I was down to clown with almost anything. But now I'm just like, that sounds like work. And you just have to get yourself in the mood. Like it sounds like harder than going to the gym. Because going to the gym, I'm like, all right, I got to have a snack so I don't get hungry. Have to have a little Red Bull to wake me up.
Sex juice.
Like, is that what people have to do for sex now? They like have to drink like a Red Bull so they're fully awake and like have a snack so they don't get hungry in the middle. They get like, because if I'm like working hard and I get hungry, then I get nauseous and it just ruins it.
Why wouldn't you just take a boner pill?
Oh, that's a very good point, Derek.
That's like Red Bull, but for your penis specifically.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Just saying.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Just saying. And then you can clean, instead of cleaning a dildo off.
Also,
you just have to hop in the shower.
Of horniness you have to get to before you're willing to put up with the smell of anal play and stuff is just like, that's a commitment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd have to be like
in a room.
I'd have to be out of my mind for pegging, like out of my mind with horniness. And I'm not saying I couldn't.
And you don't drink anymore, so
yeah, that's also part of it, right? Like I'm sure back in the day, I could have had a few drinks and been like,
"Let's go."
Guess we're putting stuff in my butt today. Yeah. But like now, I would have to be like just out of my mind with horniness.
Out of my mind with horniness.
Just out of my mind with horniness to get paid. Hey, we didn't wrap up this Mia Khalifa thing. We started talking about Mia Khalifa. Wow,
and then we got very sidetracked and tangented. And I just had to ram in my point about me not being a pervert. But
congratulations, by the way. That's a big...
My closing point is this. I felt like I was like a hostage to my horniness for like at least 15 years of my life. And now that I'm like not affected by it, like I don't really care as much. I don't know if it's because I'm in a 6-year relationship and it's like the novelty of having sex finally wore off now that I'm 40 and I don't have to be a sex camel and wait 1.5 years between sexual partners. If that did it, or if I'm older now, but I just feel like I can concentrate on like different areas of my life, like video games and TV shows and recording podcasts, which is probably more important than sex. I want to say.
You say that now until one day you see Mia Khalifa in a fucking bar in Paris or whatever, and then you text your homeboys about it, and all of a sudden you're buying a fucking. By the way, these fucking, I didn't know what this was. I had to Google it. He bought his wife a purse, and these fucking purses that he bought his wife to apologize.
Yeah.
For getting excited over seeing a hot porn star in the wild.
Yeah.
Costs like $75,000.
That's how much money I make in 1 year of work. Awesome. I hate these people and I hope they die.
Well, it's just like, yeah, bro, like just own it. Just be like, yeah, I saw porn. So I would be excited seeing any celebrity, but especially one that I've seen in the nude fornicating.
Dude, I would almost be more excited to recognize a male porn star because I don't really recognize them. Like, I can't even think of just be like, oh my God, it's the stepson. That would be nuts. Because it's always the stepson and the mom lately for porn. I don't know. The joke fell flat when I realized I wouldn't recognize a dude. But yeah, like if I was at dinner and I saw Mia Khalifa, I would elbow Andrea and I'd be like, holy shit, that's a porn star. And she'd be like, how do you know that? And I'd be like, sorry, baby, I watch porn. It's time for me to finally admit that.
What is it? Oh, he said, good, he owes you a Birkin. And he actually got her like a Birkin bag. And they're
Birka bag?
Sounds Birkin. Like
Birkin?
Merkin.
Wow, that's above my level of knowledge because I didn't even know that was a type of bag.
And then they invited Mia Khalifa to like hang out with them and like made a joke about the whole thing. And you know what?
What? She was like, give me $75,000. You could do whatever you want to me.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I bet they,
dude, what is that tattoo on Mia Khalifa's arm? Is that a vagina or a cigar?
No. What is it?
It's like it's like two fingers like this. And then it looks like she's holding something. Oh, I think it's a cigar or a tongue. It's like on her arm on that picture in that article. It's like you scroll down and then her standing in front of something. Anyways,
I'll put the article.
Here, I'll put a picture in. Great. Now I have to edit this into the fucking podcast.
I closed it.
I was gonna say, like, this guy and this girl have this weird relationship where it's like she can't know he watches porn or something. I don't know why it was.
Or like getting excited to like see a porn. Like I don't think she was actually like giving him shit or something. She like posted to TikTok where she was like drinking wine and rolling her eyes or something, but I think it was just like jokes. And then and then Mia Khalifa got wind of it and commented on it being like, yo, now he owes you a Birkin bag or something. And then the guy actually bought one, and then he got to hang out with Mia Khalifa and his wife.
Do you think they all smashed? I mean, if he's rich enough to just casually buy a Birkin bag,
$75,000 fucking bag, come on.
Yeah. Damn.
You know,
that's the. Oh my God! There's a picture of the purse.
Yeah.
It is fucking. Anybody who spends $75,000 on that purse is a fucking idiot.
That's one that's like,
I might be ignorant, but it looks like a 70s bag.
That's a fucking like, you know?
Yeah, it's like buying a Birkin bag should be like this test where it's like, if you're rich enough to buy a Birkin bag and you buy a Birkin bag, then you don't get to have your money because you're just going to use it on stupid things.
Like, I understand rich people like wanting to buy rich people shit. And like, I get it, but like paying like a fucking absurd amount of money for something just because of the brand name will never make sense to me. Ever.
Well, it's just a thing so that like people who know it costs that much are like, oh, you spent that much on that? Holy shit. It's like the I don't know why, but I associate it with True Religion jeans because those were popular and they were so fucking ugly, but they're like $300 jeans and they were so ugly and people could recognize them very easily. So the only reason you would wear $300 jeans is so people would know you're wearing $300 jeans.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna spend like a stupid amount of money on something, why not buy yourself like a really cool car, and then at least you get to drive a really cool or expensive or fast car.
Yeah, 75 grand is an entry level Porsche.
Yeah,
But I'd imagine if he has 75 grand to throw down the toilet on a Birkin bag,
he probably already has. He probably already has a Porsche.
Very nice car.
Or he did this knowing full well that he would get to hang out with the porn star if he did it.
What the fuck?
Just saying.
The other thing that bugs me about
type shit
rich people stuff is sometimes when they wear like super expensive stuff that just looks dumpy. Like in the pictures of her meeting Mia Khalifa and showing her the Birkin bag she's got, Mia Khalifa's wearing this like fucking button-up shirt that looks like the top has been cut off and it's all like frumpy and down. Great. Now I have to put a picture of this in there too. And it just looks like fucking ridiculous.
Which one? What are you talking about?
If you go to that story and you scroll down, there's a picture of them both the girl and Mia Khalifa holding the bag. And she's wearing this blue shirt with white stripes.
It's still hot.
Well, she's hot, yes, but the shirt is fucking terrible. Like, the shirt is ridiculous.
She's still hot.
Okay, fine. She's still hot.
She's hot. Okay. I'm done.
Okay.
I've hit my limit. Are you done? I've hit my limit.
Okay.
Hey, Internet. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Outrage Factory, the podcast. Oh, we didn't even do a fucking intro. Hey, this has been Outrage Factory, the podcast where we looked at the things that made you mad online this week and explain why you're done for caring. I've been your co-host, Derek Bolin.
I've been your other co-host, Dale DeRuiter.
If you like social media and getting your news on social media and following your favorite podcasters on social media, you can head on over to Outrage Fact Pod on whatever social media you happen to be on, and please give us a like or a follow or a subscribe or whatever the kids are calling it these days, or head on over to TikTok where Dale will post TikToks of us hanging out with Mia Khalifa
and our Birkin bag Dale and our terrible shirts. Yeah, Dale DeRuiter on TikTok. Check it out.
Dale DeRuiter. If you like our dope fucking new merch, head on over to fucking Redbubble.
Actually, you can't get these at Redbubble because these are from Costco.
Tough shit, fuckers.
But if you want one of these bad boys, just send me a message at outragefactpod@gmail.com. Oh, I should double check that because I always forget what it is. It is outragefactpod@gmail.com. Send me a little message and be like, I want one of your sexy new mugs.
We should do
there's 3 or 4 designs.
Like a Patreon tier for like if you donate $20 to the podcast.
You could do that. It's very easy. You set it up so it's like there's gradual steps. So it's like the way Patreon works is it'll be like 4 different steps over a year. So after 3 months, you get stickers, then 3 more months, you get like a mug, then a hat, then a shirt or something. And you could set it. But they only have those little mugs. Like these are nice mugs because they're 15 ounce and they only have like the 11 ounce ones.
Got it.
Whatever. So I like these. Like the reason I got these from Costco instead of Redbubble is because they're bigger and they're blue on the inside, which is cool. But yeah, hit me up if you want one. I think they're like $25, I want to say.
Yeah, hit Dale up if you want one. If you like the podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you really like the podcast, tell your friends about us, or share some clips from when we said that hilariously funny shit, like Joe Rogan is a fucking square, and anyone who enjoys him has a micro.
And Joe Rogan, if you're listening to this,
you have micro penis.
I still think you're the most important man in media. I love you. Ride or die, baby.
The most important man with a micro penis in media.
No.
Joe
I'm
Rogan.
sure he's got a thick hog.
No, those supplements he takes.
Thick hog.
Have like shrunk his dick down.
No, those supplements make your dick grow. They make your balls smaller.
I got to say, on news radio.
Yeah.
He had little dick energy.
Sure.
Before he got famous. Little dick energy.
I mean, I just always thought it was short guy energy because he's short.
Had a little dick. Hey, thanks for joining us on this wild ride. And until next week.
Stay angry.
Little dick.